Hey guys, we are live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today I got a brand new guest for you guys. I have Travis is here with me. How are you doing today, Travis?
Hey, good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Go ahead, real quick, and introduce yourself to our audience. If people don't know who you are, you can tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and tell them what it is that you do.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm Travis Kerr, and we live just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we're kind of a family of resellers that source things from various places like yard sales, thrift stores, Amazon return stores, Facebook Marketplace, and then we primarily flip those online on eBay. And then, of course, my daughter has a pretty strong connection to Poshmark, and she does that as well with clothing. So that's kind of what we do, and we love to just have fun as a family and get out and do sourcing and are listing all together as a family.
Right. So, Travis, you're from North Carolina. We're talking backstage. Tell everybody you still work. You still work a full time job. You
Yep.
do reselling and you shoot YouTube videos. So you're like, one of those people that's like, Monday through Friday, the days kind of run together a little bit, huh?
Yeah. I'll run 100 miles per minute. So I am a full-time banking professional, and I am blessed enough to have worked from home for several years now. Will eventually go back in the office some, but I'll still work from home probably 3 days a week or so. But I probably do like 50 hours a week working in the banking world. And then,
Right.
of course, reselling, and then YouTube videos, which we can get into later, which I didn't know how time consuming that was. But yeah, we're definitely pretty busy.
You guys are doing good. So before we get into it, I don't want to like, ruin it for you guys, but tell everybody if they haven't seen your latest video, tell everybody how you've been doing with your eBay sales, your 90-day sales. Tell everybody what they were. Cause I'm not trying to do it to brag. I just want people to know like, hey, you guys can do this too. Tell them what your 90-day total was.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just crossed a big milestone for us, which I believe we crossed over 50,000. I think it was at 52,000. And anytime we hit those milestones, I'm like always snapping a picture. I'm like, oh my gosh, please, because you don't know if it's gonna stay there, right? So
Right.
we hit 40. I did the same thing, and then we just hit 50,000 over the last 90 days. So man, we are so blessed. And one thing I didn't say is really primarily the eBay business is myself and my son, who's 18. He's a senior in high school, and he is a massive part of this. But like a lot of teenagers, he doesn't necessarily want to be on camera, especially with his dad, right? So,
It's cool,
um,
guys. But yeah, the reason why I bring this up, guys, because I get messages from people all the time, and they're like, "Jeff, I have a full time job or I have a family. It's difficult for me to do that." Look, Travis is here. He's telling you guys he's working his full time job, 40, 50 hours a week. He has a family, he has a full time job, and he still finds time to get all his listings done, get all his shipping done, and shoot YouTube videos. So if Travis is out here doing it and he's telling you guys he did $52,000 in sales in 90 days, you guys can do it too if you're just willing to hustle a little bit. So let me give a quick shout out to some people here in the chat. I wanted to say hey to the Philly Picker is here in the chat. He says, hey, what's up, Jeff and Travis and everyone? And I hope I always mispronounce your name. Guan Pug is here, says, hey, Jeff, Travis, and guests. If you guys have questions for our guests, go ahead and pick his brain. I have a bunch of questions for you. So you have your full-time job. When do you find time to go and do your listings? Do you do it kind of in the evening, at nights? How do you do your listing? How do you do your sourcing, shipping? Kind of break it down a little bit about how somebody, if they're watching this video and they're not a big-time reseller, how they can go from 0 to 50,000 in sales in 90 days. Tell them kind of your experience from your perspective and your point of view.
yeah, well, one thing like I said, I also have a 50-50 partner in this business who's my son, and he is just probably better at it than I am. So keep that in mind, is that we do this together as a family. So, but I definitely after work, I will plug away, help with shipping any way that I can. We will normally try to do a thrifting trip at least once during the week, just to hit like 2 or 3 thrift stores. Saturdays is just become a way of life. Every Saturday, at least until lunchtime, sometimes till 1, 2, we're sourcing. So, certainly not like I've said before, it's not a passive investment. It does take work. It does take a time commitment. And so, luckily, with 2 day shift, your Thursday, Friday, orders can be shipped over the weekend. So it really allows me to help Camden throughout the weekend do packing. Because if we have 30, 40 orders over the weekend, then we knock that out together. So I'm not working. And then, so Camden gets out of school and before our other kids do. So he'll go out to thrift stores. He's probably the only high schooler going to thrift stores and buying stuff. So we source all week long in some form or fashion. And we just make it work.
Right. So, so you guys mainly go sourcing on the weekends. What are some of the main hot items that you guys are out here looking for? So when you're out here, maybe you hit a yard sale, estate sale, thrift store. What are items in particular that you're looking for? I know you're going to say stuff that you can flip to resell for a profit, but you don't have a huge, like, you have less than 1,000 items in your eBay store, and you guys are able to do $50,000 in sales in 90 days. So I'm sure you guys are looking for more high ticket, high margin items. So talk a little bit about that.
We do. So, I mean, generally we're trying to 5X our money. So if something is $5, we want to be able to sell for 25 and so on. And so I would say that we sell a lot of electronic items, like vintage electronics. And I can't remember, I saw your interview with the other couple the other day that sells larger items, but we're not afraid to ship large items. And in fact, we'll take it on as a challenge.
Okay.
I mean, so we've sold, 80, 90 pound items. And so it does help to have large items because those are things that people do pass over. So big golf bags, we love sporting goods, VCRs, vintage electronics. If you watch any of our videos, you'll know that we buy a ton of vintage vacuum cleaners like Rainbow, Electrolux, Kenmore Whisper. We part those out. We buy a lot of kitchen things like I'm looking around our warehouse now, but we buy like KitchenAid blenders and Cuisinart pieces and part those out. Yeah.
So now you're talking about your warehouse. So where do you guys store all your merchandise? Do you have a basement? Do you have a shed? Or what do you guys store all your merchandise?
Yeah. So I'll give you like a quick flip over. You can kind of see our various.
Go ahead. I'll put you on full screen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you can kind of see our various SKUs. But yeah, it's in our basement. So I mean, super blessed to have that. Although, it does look like an episode of Hoarders down here quite a bit. But that's the life of a reseller, right? Is that you bring in inventory and you kind of have to get it sorted through, and it does look a bit like a junkyard sometimes. But man, we're super blessed to have the basement to be able to kind of warehouse this out and not have to drive anywhere or go to a mini storage or something like that.
Yeah, Travis, you seem like a really humble guy. Like, like me, I walk around half the time with a chip on my shoulder, but you seem like a really, nice, honest, hardworking guy, and you seem really humble. So I'm glad to have you on today. We got a question here from the chat. Guan Pug says, hey, Jeff, is Travis looking to resell full-time someday? So are you planning on keeping your full-time job and then reselling part-time, or have you thought in the future maybe becoming a full-time reseller?
Yeah, maybe at some point down the road, because this really grew from something that was just a hobby, like, oh, look, we're selling 2 or 3 items a week on eBay. This is great. And so one day I woke up and I was like, what? This is way more than I ever in a million years thought it would be. And it kind of just metamorphosed into what it is now. So yeah, maybe at some point, the one thing to keep in mind is we have 4 kids. And so our oldest is 18, our youngest is 12. So it would be a big leap of faith, but something that we may certainly do at some point.
At some point, all right. Well, I understand. You got you and your wife and 4 kids. That's a lot of mouths to feed. So I definitely can understand that. Hey, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Jen is in the house. Jen's Multiverse. He says, "Is this your full-time job, or do you have?" And also, do you have any other side hustles? So we talked about that a minute ago. You have a full-time job as a banker. So you want to talk about that real quick?
Yep. So I do government-backed lending through the SBA. So I do a lot of commercial real estate transaction, business acquisitions, things of that nature. That's my main job. And then my full-time job, I won't call it part-time, is definitely reselling. So those are the 2 main things. And we may dabble here and there in some other things, but that's definitely the 2 main primary sources of my income, at least.
Well, hopefully by this time next year, you'll be monetized on YouTube, and YouTube will be another one of your side hustles. So it just takes time, bro. It's not something that happens overnight. So as long as you put work into it, you'll get there.
Yeah,
I wanted to
hopefully
give a
so.
quick shout out to Flip and Thrift is in the chat. Says, hey, Travis, how did you do with that blender that you got at the estate sale recently?
Hey, those guys are pretty cool. So you need to check them out, Flip and Thrift. I actually met them at an estate sale the other day, and I saw their GoPro on. I was like, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" So I started chatting with them. That thing is literally right behind me. If you can see it in the back corner, it's like a wearing blender of some sort. We haven't. It's in our. It's literally up in our stack to list. So haven't done it, and I need to. I still need to test that thing out. So haven't sold that yet. We're about to list it up, but.
All right. So, Travis, we got to ask you some questions here. I got to pick your brain. How did you first get started into this resale game, and why did you get started? And was it one of those things where you're like, man, I need to have something flexible, a job where I can like work from home, kind of be my own boss and set my own hours? Or was it that you weren't making enough money at your regular job? What kind of was like the trigger to get you to kind of start being a reseller? And so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the seeds were planted years ago. So my wife and I used to own in this part of the country, we have a lot of semi-annual consignment sales. So it's
Yeah.
children's consignment sales where a massive warehouse, and then you'll invite a bunch of people to come and resell their children's items and things of that nature. And so, we would see, my wife and I, as the owners, would see these people come in, and they would go to Goodwill bins, they would go to places, and then they would start selling items at our sale. And the way it works is that, we would keep 30% of the total sales, approximately, give or take, sometimes less. And then 70% the individual consigners would keep. But I started looking, I was like, talking to my wife, I was, look at these people that are making so much money just flipping stuff. And then you and I are sitting here like stressed out to death, answering emails, complaints, and whatever. So
Yeah.
we sold that, and we might buy something here or there to sell for ourselves. We didn't have time to sell for ourselves because we had that. So, but really the genesis of this business came during COVID. So we've really been doing this pretty hardcore for 2 years. And so I would say the first thing that really happened is during COVID, my son wanted to start playing golf. So we started going to Goodwills. I was like, we're not going to buy him some expensive set of pings or Titleist when he first starts. So we were just going to Goodwills to try to find like golf clubs. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I think we could probably sell this. And then, so we bought a couple of golf clubs at Goodwill that we thought we could flip. And then the other really interesting thing is that was in extremely high demand when COVID started were routers, even the cheapest of cheap routers, because everybody started working from home. So we started buying
Right.
those at thrift stores. Boom, they were like flying off the shelf, and it kind of just got us like, hey, we can do this. And we started going out to yard sales every single weekend, thrift stores, and it just blossomed into this. So kind of to some degree, COVID kind of drove us into this, if is kind of a humorous take on it anyway.
Yep. So, Travis, let me ask you a question, man. How long have you guys been reselling now?
Yeah, for about 2 years now. Just so we started right about when COVID started, as far as this goes. So you can really, if we can do it, you can definitely do it too. Anyone out there, because we're not some 2-decade industry veterans at this. We just started, got experience. You certainly make mistakes, but you're going to have more successes than losses, and I think you will come out ahead if you just start, right?
Right. So Travis, I figured it up. You said you did 52,000 in sales in 90 days. So if you guys break that down into 3 months, that means they're doing about $17,333 a month on average over the past 90 days. So out of that 17,000, I know all of that isn't profit because you have to subtract your eBay fee, shipping cost, your cost of goods. Then you're subtracting your gas and your time and all that. What would be like your top 3 tips or piece of advice if somebody's watching this? Maybe they're new to reselling, or they haven't got started yet, or maybe they're already reselling and they're trying to grow and scale their business. What would you tell them would be like your top 3 tips or piece of advice if somebody is, maybe they're doing 1,000 or 2,000 a month and they want to get to the point where you're at, where you're doing 17,000 a month in gross sales on eBay? Like, what would be your advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who hasn't started, obviously tip number one is to start small. I mean, you can take $5 and turn it into $100. We do it quite regularly. So one, you got to start. two, I mean, you just have to be consistent. And that's a very cliche thing in the resale world because you'll hear everybody say it, but you have to
Right.
source consistently. You have to list consistently in order to get those sales up. I would say that um, we're probably fairly selective on what we buy. Quite often, we'll go places and not buy anything. So we're really looking for things that move fast. And I think you'll see that reflected in our sell through rate. If you saw the total items of our listings versus I think it was like 600 um, listings and 800 sales. So we're really looking for things that aren't going to sit for a long time. So you can do that by learning how to look through your sell through rates on eBay. So I would say learn about sell through rate. It is extremely important, as many on here probably already know. And um, I would say the other thing to make you more profitable and give you a niche is like we were saying earlier, don't be afraid to sell big items. Because if you have the right boxes, it's not really all that different than shipping something small. You might end up at FedEx and UPS a little bit more than you would at the post office because it's cheaper to ship there. But definitely don't be scared of big items. Just make sure you have the right boxes and or equipment to do it, and you should be good to go. And that will set you apart and give you some good bit higher margin items.
So Travis, I'm going to throw kind of a curveball at you real quick. What would you say advice if somebody is saying, "Man, I'm just having slow sales," because that's what I've been seeing a lot on one of their YouTubers channels lately, or other resellers are saying, I'm listing items, but the stuff just isn't selling. So,
Right.
is there any magical tricks? Because sometimes it's the eBay computer algorithm, but what kind of tricks or advice would you say if someone called you up and said, "Hey, Travis, I saw your video, I'm doing what I can, I'm listing items, but the stuff's just sitting here and it's not moving." What would you tell them and just be like kind of, rocket ship their eBay sales to get some inventory moving? Do you have some advice for
Yeah.
them?
Yeah. I mean, one trick obviously for slow selling things is to delist and relist your items. That really, for whatever reason, that works. But I would say you definitely want to do some evaluation or self-evaluation on what you're buying. So so always be looking for alternative forms of sourcing. And so if things are moving slow, maybe they're moving slow for a reason. One thing that we do quite often when it's not yard sale season is we go to Amazon bin stores or return stores. So I would certainly look for those in your area and make the sacrifice to get up early on their opening day. And so a lot of the opening days here are on Saturdays. So we'll get up at 5 a.m. and we'll be the first people, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 back in line.
Yeah.
And it's a sacrifice, but we get really good items that move quickly. So if you have bin stores in your area and you can get there on their opening day, I think it's a really good way to supplement your eBay store with items that should move quickly if you have first pick on those items.
Okay, now talk to me. If I haven't been to one of these Amazon bin stores, first of all, how do I find one? Do I just go on Google and then type in Amazon bin stores or liquidation stores? How do I find these places? And tell me a little bit about how it works, because I've seen some people say, okay, there's $7 day, there's $5, there's $3, there's $1 days. So tell us a little bit about how these liquidation or Amazon return liquidation stores work. And then when you go through and you're looking for the inventory, do you just scan it and look at the recent solds in the past 90 days and say, oh, okay, 5 are listed and 10 are sold? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yep. I mean, that's right. So I would first, if you're looking for those places, I think the most effective way is to use BIN store, bin stores in my area, because there's various places that get contracts with not just Amazon, but also with Target, and there's probably some others out there as well. And so I know there's some across the country. In our area, there's one called Bin 5. I think Quick Lots has some return stores. There's Black Fridays, which we just recently got here in the Charlotte area, but they're across the country. And so, yeah, generally speaking, those stores will have an opening day where it's their premium day. So maybe in this part of the country, they generally start off at $7 on their opening day, and then items cycle down. So $7 on day one, 5 on day two, 3, 2, 1, and then fill up an entire bag for 20 bucks or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And so if you go on opening day, you really can find some good stuff, but you just have to be first in line. And what we do is, honestly, from experience, you know what moves fast. So if I see a massive protein powder and it's sealed, I know it's going to move quickly if it hasn't expired. You just learn from experience. If you see something interesting, like I've got a mountain climbing helmet the other day that sells for like 150 bucks. It just looked interesting. So I threw it in my bag and then I comp it later.
Can you give us an illustration or example of some items that you found at the good, and we're not talking about the Goodwill bins, we're talking about the Amazon return bin, so I don't get that confused. So can you give us an illustration of maybe some hot moving items or items that you found recently at the Amazon return bin store where you're like, hey, I paid $5 for this item and boom, it's sold for $100. Here, I'll put you on full screen. Maybe you can grab something to show us, or you can give us an illustration.
That is a good question. I don't have anything out just yet. I don't know that I have anything right immediately with me. I was looking around just to see if there's anything I can grab, but I would say that like I was saying, anything that is toner cartridges that are name brand OEM, like Brother, Canon, those are some really good bread and butter items that I would call base hits. You can buy them for $5 to $7 and easily sell them very quickly for $50, $60. Like I was saying, if you can find protein powders, it is a business decision to buy protein powders because they weigh about 5 or 6 pounds and you got to lug those around in your bag, but they sell very quickly. I found a Bushnell golf scope at one before that we paid $5 for, and it sold for like 200 and something. My daughter found an iPad, believe it or not. And so there's really good finds at those places, but if they're not all created equal, and if you go on later days, you're probably not going to find those items. But for those Amazon FBA people out there, which we don't really do that much of, there's a ton of probably good deals on those cheaper days that you can look for things too, if that's, a way that you do sourcing.
Okay, awesome. Now, Travis, we're still kind of early in the year. What are some of your goals or projects of things you're working on? What are some of your goals you have? Because to me, like hitting 50,000 in sales in 90 days on eBay, that's a pretty big accomplishment. So what other goals or projects do you have coming up this year for 2022 that you can talk to us about?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we are going to start trying to do is supplement with some FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. So just kind of learning the nuances to that, because I think it's important to diversify because things are always going to change. So I think that that's one thing is really learning that business model. And there's a lot of people that do really well with that. There's also some things that we buy, such as VCRs and things of that nature, that sell for incredibly higher amounts of money on Amazon than they do on eBay. So it's going to really be an evaluation process to see kind of what's more profitable to maybe flip on FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, versus doing the eBay model. Now, as far as monetarily, I can't even tell you, like, I had no idea that this was even going to blow up into what it has. Like, I really didn't. I mean, I just thought it was cool. We were selling 4 or 5 things, and it was really a hobby. It wasn't out of necessity. And now I'm like, just want other people to be successful at it. I think if you help others be successful, then honestly, you'll be successful.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Laura. Laura is here in the chat, says hi. If you guys have questions for our guests, you can drop it in the chat. So that kind of leads me to the next question I wanted to talk to you about, a little bit about your YouTube channel, because you said that you kind of push your energy to kind of help other people to be successful. And I think that's what you kind of do with your YouTube channel a little bit. Say, hey guys, here's some community sales that I went to, or yard sales, or bin stores. Here's some items that I found that you guys can pick up and resell to make a profit. So talk to me a little bit about your YouTube channel. Why did you guys start your channel, and what kind of content do you make on your YouTube channel if people haven't come by to check you out yet?
Yep. So it's Kerr Family Flip Show. And I used to call us the Kerr Family Freak Show. because when my wife and I looked like we were like 12 years old when we had our first kid, and we would walk in somewhere with 4 kids and everybody would be like just staring at us. So I kind of just transformed freak show into flip show.
I like
And
that better.
and so it really is to kind of chronicle our journey. And I like to do it to at least show other people that that you can do it too, and really show you the kind of items that we buy, kind of our process for going through those items. Showing the shipping, the maybe the good, the bad, and the ugly. Even
Yeah.
showing people the mistakes that we've made, that to keep others from maybe doing the same. So um, I just have fun with it. I like to. You may not be able to tell it now, but I don't have a serious bone in my body, so I like to joke around and have some playful fun with those videos as well. And I had no clue what the heck I was doing when I started, and I still am not like an expert at it by any stretch. So I'm always learning how to edit and keep those things going, and how to get better at it as time goes on.
All right, cool. So what is your favorite thing that you like selling about on eBay? What is your favorite thing about it that you like about it the best?
The favorite thing I like about selling on eBay, I mean, obviously, is hearing that cha-ching, right? See, it's seeing those sales. Now, as far as, or are you talking about as far as my favorite thing to sell, or my favorite thing about selling on eBay?
Just your favorite
Um,
thing about selling on eBay. My favorite
yeah,
thing is when I'm asleep and I wake up and I have, $200-300 worth of sales of money that's already pending of stuff that I
yeah,
sold in my
yeah,
account while I was asleep, and I didn't have to wear a uniform. I wasn't clocked in on a time clock somewhere. I didn't have to be on my feet for 8 hours a
right.
day. I didn't have to report to anybody. And so being able to do that kind of at your own pace from home, to me, that's invaluable. And I'm sure you guys were able to take a large of that chunk of that money. How much money do you think you take every month to kind of reinvest your business to buy more inventory? And how much money do you use to maybe put into savings, or maybe take some of that money to, pay off, student loans or car payments, or try to pay your house off? Like, well, how do you go about breaking that down? Because
Yeah, I mean,
you have
generally
a full-time job.
speaking, as a soft rule, I mean, you can probably expect to keep or net profit before taxes about half of your total sales. Again, we can come out better than that, maybe worse than that, but somewhere in that vicinity is a decent rule. I would say we spend thousands per month on inventory, and I would have to look at our profit and loss statement, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna dare to say 4 or 5 thousand a month we probably spend, but we didn't start off like that. I mean, we probably started off spending $50, $100.
Right.
Yeah, but now we spend thousands each month, but we flip it fast. So
Right.
um, yeah,
Well, you got to spend money to make money. So
right.
Travis, I got to put you on the spot before we let you go. Tell me, who are your top 3 favorite YouTubers that you like to watch on YouTube when you have free time? When you're in the back shipping, posting items,
Yeah,
listing stuff on eBay. Who are some other YouTubers that you like to watch when you have free time?
yeah, I like to watch Osborne to thrift. I think
Yeah.
he buys like a ton of the same things that we buy, and he's super creative. Um, I watch. I like Commonwealth Picker, Cincinnati Picker. Those guys. Um, I think I like Commonwealth just because he takes little and makes a lot out of it. And then John with Cincinnati Picker just seems like a real good, humble guy that loves reselling more than he does YouTubing, which to me
Right,
is
which is weird, and you still have like 200,000 subscribers, but it's like you can tell that he's kind of down to earth person. So
yeah. I like
for
the
sure.
guys that don't necessarily. I don't want to use the word sell out to YouTube, but I think sometimes you can start seeing when people are more interested in YouTube than they are reselling. And I just like obviously the people that have the passion for the reselling business, which was the heart of what got them started to begin with.
Okay, awesome. Laura says eBay Addicts is my favorite. Thank you. I appreciate you guys in the chat bringing it out. So Travis, then tell everybody where they can find you at on YouTube and Instagram so they can go by and check you out.
Yep. So on YouTube, it's Kerr Family Flip Show, and on Instagram, it's at Kerr Family Flip. So Kerr is Kerr.
Okay, cool. Now, do you have any words of wisdom or final thoughts? I'm going to try to keep you on like a half hour. So do you have any other final thoughts or words of wisdom you can leave our audience with?
Nope. Like I said, if you're thinking about it, honestly, step one is just start. Buy one thing, buy two things, list it up, see how it goes. Start the learning process. Start learning how to list. So definitely step one is to start, because you're always going to miss all the shots that you never take.
Yeah, and the thing is, some things that I hear from people, and they're like, "Well, I'm afraid to make mistakes," and I'm like, "Well, that's how you learn."
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
had mistakes where I'm in a hurry and I put the wrong shipping label on the wrong packages, and the customers got their packages, and one guy
Done that.
got a pair of blue jeans, and another guy got a remote, and they weren't happy. They got two different items. So,
Check.
but right, but when you learn, you're like, okay, I put my hand on the stove. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. So that's kind of how you learn, is screwing up and making mistakes, and you're gonna get better at it. And like Travis says, he's been doing this for 2 years now, so it wasn't something that just happened overnight where he's now making 50,000 in sales in 90 days. It's something where you're just gradually going to take your capital and reinvest it back into your business, and over a period of time it's going to grow and scale, and you're going to get there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, guys.
For
Yep,
sure.
I have all the links down below. You can go by and follow Travis's YouTube channel, YouTube, Instagram links. Everything's going to be down below. Till next time, I will see you guys later. You guys have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Awesome.
Have a great
Yep.
day.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Talk to you soon.
All
Bye.
right. Bye. Follow our guests. Bye, guys.